we're here in Kentucky, in Land Between the Lakes, which is really awesome. This is a beautiful place.
Nice,
I gotta say, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And you have seen a Bigfoot here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Multiple.
Multiple Bigfoot
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Can you explain your sighting?
Yeah. Well, so the first sighting was during COVID. My wife, I fish. You see, I pulled my boat over here
Oh
with
yeah.
me today. So that's I'm a fisherman.
Yeah.
You know, and been coming here 30 years. Been coming here regular since about 1988.
Okay.
And I mean weekly.
Before I was born, sir.
At least. Okay. Yeah, I'm old. I'll be 52 this year. So, yeah, and had heard the stories of the strangeness and seen some stuff, you know, and was aware of it, but not really, had never been impacted with it. So, my wife and I, and at that time, I'm going to mess the ages up. It was May 10th, 2020. I remember that day.
Yeah.
And so I have at the time a 16-year-old daughter.
May 10th. Was just what? Yesterday.
Yeah. So
to
it's
the day.
About this. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's cool.
That's odd. I didn't think about that.
That's pretty cool.
So we had gotten out. We had gotten a boat in 2019, and had gotten out the day before. And around here, if you stay here a week, you're going to experience it. You'll have a great day like today. Tomorrow will be terrible.
Oh, good. Okay.
You know,
good
it's one of those things. So, yeah. So the May 9th had been great. And we're like, well, let's go fishing again. My wife had not been out. And
Yeah.
so we had an infant daughter. I guess she was about 8 months old. Then I had my 4-year-old at the time and my 16-year-old daughter. So we were all wanting to get out. Again, we got to the lake. Man, it's 3-foot swells. Just
Oh,
we
wow.
couldn't get my little boat out in it. But
Yeah.
I knew a spot way back off the road where it would be calm. It's always calm there. And so we went, and I couldn't even launch the boat at the ramp. It was closed, but there was a spot where they put kayaks in.
Yeah.
I just put my boat in there, and I left it because I didn't want somebody to block me. I actually got a ticket.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I wrote on it, "I saw Bigfoot" on the memo. I didn't even care. It was like $300. So they'll nail you around here if you don't. You know, it's federally run.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we left the boat in. We fishing was terrible. It was one little spot where we decided let's get up on the bank. We like to cook hot dogs.
Yeah.
Got on this little spot. My back's to the ridge. You can see how it is around here. You know, so my back's to the ridge. I'm fixing the fire. The little girls and my wife stayed in the boat. My older daughter, she was fishing just down the bank a little, but I heard some people walking, and I said, all right, y'all watch out. The north-south trail was kind of close to there, but these people would have been off track if they'd been walking up there. So I said, y'all just watch out. Nothing came of it, and we ate our hot dogs. Everything's good. My daughter did ask, you know, what do you think? Where do you think those people went? And I said, I don't know. I guess they saw us down here and walked off maybe. It's a 2-mile road down that spot. There was no cars. There was nobody close. We knew there was nobody close. But anyway, I'm pushing the boat off and got them all loaded back up. And we heard a knock. Just like I'd heard on all these Bigfoot shows. I've always been interested in this stuff, you know, to watch, but never had experienced it. But, you know, I'm laughing about it. And the girl said, what was that? Well, I looked down and there's you know, beavers chew the bark off sticks. They usually make really good hard. And I looked down there and I knew it would be a hard stick and it wouldn't break on me. So I said, they say Bigfoot does this. So I grab it, knock on the tree that I had the boat tied up to, and immediately from down this way, we get a second knock.
No kidding.
Yeah, and then we're just kind of like, I'm still thinking people messing with us. So all right, well, let's just go down there. There was a little inlet, so let's just go down there. And this is all Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization. I called them. They answered the phone at midnight.
Wow.
And they documented this, and that helped me when they came out and took me back up in there and just opened my eyes to what's in the woods.
Yeah.
But yeah, we go down there and I look up and sun was shining through on a spot, and I kind of just looked, and there was we know now, an 8-foot Bigfoot standing there.
Wow.
Just standing there. And I said, holy, there's Bigfoot. And I pointed, and that thing hurt me. And I couldn't tell. It backed up. Trees were about like this. They're spaced out, so I couldn't tell if it was up on the tree, but it kind of just backed up. You know, so I'm in the boat on this side. My wife's here. Well, when I spun, because they're all where. When I spun the boat, it actually went away from the direction of the boat. So fast.
Yeah.
You know, they say why people can't get pictures and all this stuff. If I hadn't just locked in on it, there's no chance I would have been able to, you know. So I spin the boat back around to get my wife a better view, and when I hid the boat that way, it comes down this little gully. And man, we were about 30 yards away from it at that time. The guy came out and range found it, but then it pulled itself up up on the other side of the creek, and there were some trees shaking. I thought at the time it must have just grabbed a tree and been pulling itself, but we think now there was another one, and it was just shaking. My daughter did see the shaking, and so I put the boat in neutral, and we drift down the bank, and I'm kind of stunned, and just it changes things, you know. And the girls still couldn't see it, but about the time I put the motor in gear, the thing was that it screamed at them.
Oh, wow.
My ears ring all the time. It's called tinnitus. And so I had the motor right there, and I didn't hear it, but immediately they look at each other. What was that? Did you hear that? That was a scream. And my wife is like, "Get out of here!" And we'd gotten far enough back in the bay where it wasn't too far. Something here could have come around and gotten to where our truck was.
Yeah.
And so she's thinking, well, I keep a pistol in my glove box. You're not allowed to carry here on you all around, but she's like, "Get to the truck, get your gun."
Yeah.
And we know now, I really don't think most Sasquatch want to hurt you.
No.
I don't think they're dangerous. I think they describe the scream as this frustrated, guttural scream. I think it was just mad. I think it was mad we saw them. I think it probably smelled our hot dogs and had its mind set for food and was mad. And it was weird. They both said it was a frustrated kind of thing.
Yeah.
And anyway, we got in there, and thankfully a car was coming down, and so she felt a little better. But she was kind of shaken up, and so that actually. So I went home, called Charlie Raymond, Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization. He came out a few months later. It was in the fall.
Yeah.
Took me out there. It's all on his YouTube, and it just opened my eyes. And then I've been a lifelong hiker. I hike and fish, and man, I found prints. I've had other experiences. I mean, it's neat.
Yeah.
I've taken some friends of mine. We've had a couple just recently, just in the boat. And it's been the most recent, fast forward, and you don't know for sure. And now I've had probably 4 clear sightings.
Okay.
My wife has had 1 from a distance now. I've got an area where I'm pretty sure, I think it's juveniles. I know an area where I think there's a big male, and they're kind of grumpy.
Okay.
And then I've got some areas where there's some strange other stuff that's happened, but I'm fishing, and we hear this whistle, and my buddy that had been with me, he looked at me, because you just kind of know. And it's always like a, just a 2-syllable kind of thing. And he looked at me, and he said, "What kind of bird is that?" I said, "Well, I don't think it's a bird, Michael," but his name's Mike. His name's Michael as well. So
Bunch of Mikes.
Yeah. So I whistled back, and it starts changing its cadence. Like I would go, and then you'd get, and then I'd mimic the slow one, and it'd get real fast.
Really?
So I told him, and I do this trick to try to, I'm still trying to debunk most things. I'm not the everything is Bigfoot guy. I'm like, most things aren't, probably. But I said, okay, I think it's up here. Let me, I'm gonna start staring, Michael. And when you start staring their direction, I don't think they know you can't see them. And a lot of times that activity will stop. So he said, "Whistle one more time." Get immediate response. I said, I start staring, like locked in on it. Nothing. And we tested it. We went in 3 other coves and tried to hear a bird that would do that, or tried it, and it was isolated to that. That makes him feel, we've heard the howls, actually over by Energy Lake, over that way, Crooked Creek, Taylor Bay. You can hear the difference in like we've got coyotes, and there's red wolves. People say there's wolves. There's wolves that come through here. I don't know if they're living.
Okay.
But you can hear the sounds. A dog's going to be like a woof woof, like a woo woo.
Right.
A cat's going to be a row row. You know what I mean? A deer will blow at you, but every once in a while you hear a ah. You hear the, even if it starts with a W, you hear the whoa. You hear
Yeah.
the human lungness of it. And we heard one of those this spring, and he just looked at me, and then the owls started going. I think in the daytime they do things that mimic maybe owls or
Yeah.
birds, and then at night I notice, and I rarely go out at night, never by myself, not since 2020. At night you get a lot of the coyote stuff that maybe will blend in with the coyotes and things. So I've had a couple experiences with, they talk about dogmen being over here.
Yep.
And I've just had some strange stuff like Demumbers Bay. I don't go there.
Okay.
I don't mess around over there. Over at Barkley Lake, it's interesting, between Crooked Creek and Taylor Bay. It's all in no hunting zone.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So
Same
that's
area?
where we heard the yell. This always comes out, man. I was on that Small Town Monsters thing, and I told him, you're gonna think I'm weird, man. I get feelings. My whole life, and I tell people that, and I don't brag about it, and I just spend enough time with me, and you'll be like, how'd you know that, kind of thing, right?
Right.
So I trust that, and I'm not having exclusive on that. A lot of people, a lot of woodsmen have that kind of thing.
Correct.
So I don't hike, go by myself, do anything out of the boat between Crooked Creek and Demumbers Bay. I don't know what's over there, but it's an entirely different feel and experience than what I get over on this side. It has helped, and that's why I do it. I haven't gotten too many people to think I'm really crazy.
Yeah.
And I want to create that awareness, and that's the only reason I do it, because people know what's out here. And I think, there's a species that eventually needs to be protected. And I don't think they want to have anything to do with us.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think it wouldn't impact us a bit. I think they've been here for years, and they'll stay here for years.
Yeah.
But it's neat to be aware that they're out there. It's actually become a neat part of my life.
Yeah.
And I know there's people that have had worse experiences, and it's gone the other way. But
well, I appreciate you coming out and hanging out with us and sharing your encounters.
Yeah.
And it means a lot to me.
Yeah,
it
man.
really does.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah.
I've seen
cool stuff.
Yes.
Man.
Well, and I'll tell you what, there's some things in hindsight that come back to you now, that when you've had these experiences, we camp across Energy Lake, not at the campground, but on the other side. And there's really only one road that goes down, and again, it's all no hunting area. But I loaded up my boat again with my son. It's a stormy night, but it wasn't thunderstorm type. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad windy night or anything. And it's getting dusk, and we start hearing what we think is a knock. And so I start knocking back. And I'm getting immediate responses. If I knock twice, it knocks twice. If I knock once, it knocks once. And Marcus is sitting there, and I'm thinking, this cannot be happening right here. This has got to be something else. Well, then about that time, a giant tree, I mean, we're talking a tree like this, comes crashing over, probably 50 yards from our camp. And another one, it hits another one. So 2 trees go down. And I'm thinking, all right, there's just soft roots, something. But again, not real stormy. After dark, we hear a deer start blowing, a doe. So I think she's blowing at us because we've put a campsite over there. Well, I get up to use the bathroom a few hours later, and she's from me to you, standing there. Doesn't blow at me, doesn't move. She was still laying, blew several times over the course of the night. She was still laying there that morning when we got up. And then just looks at us and got up. And so now I'm thinking, was she being pursued by something? And then it was mad because we were in there, and she was using us for safety?
Yeah.
Because I've had that in the boat. We had one swim out right in front of us. I don't know how much you've been out on the lake, but all these coves, they've got a creek, and then they've got some peninsulas that are relatively shallow. So you'll have shallow, deep, shallow. Swam out right in front of our boat. I could have hit it with my fishing rod and got right in the buck bushes and stayed between my boat and the buck bushes. Marcus, my son, again with me, and he's like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden, to the right, you hear this, and I think it was chasing a deer. And that deer saw us and said, hey, it's not going near those people.
That's cool.
I mean, it's really neat.
Yeah.
And you don't start thinking about this stuff. I never, had that happened before my sighting, I thought, oh, it's got chronic wasting disease or some kind of crazy thing that deer do. And that's just another deer running off, you know. But it wasn't during the rut. It's summertime. It's summertime. So, man, it's no shortage of that kind of stuff if you just get out here. Bigfooters are great, man. This group has been real welcoming and real accepting. It's really awesome. The only thing I get salty about are the ones that they do it from behind their computer on their couch. And they're experts from the safety of the internet. And I tell them, get it, come out. I'm here. This is my home.
That's what I tell anybody. I say, if you want to experience something, come out with me.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Exactly right.
Come out.
Exactly
and
right.
Nobody takes me up on it.
I know. I know. I
know?
know. I've got a guy that I've invited him. Come on, man. I'll put you up in my house, and it's a tiny little house, but I'll put you on the couch, man.
Right.
And we'll go out, and then you just tell me. And yeah, probably some of it is owls, some of it is coyotes, some of probably 80 to 90% of it is explainable. But what about that?
The 1%.
1%. Exactly. You know, I always get on like the placebo effect. I guess my whole life, my dad warped me. You know, he was one of the first members of Delta Force.
Okay.
The guy, Charlie Beckwith, I don't know if you guys are into that, but the guy that started it, I used to call him Uncle Charlie. He used to bounce me on my knee. So that's, you know, he was really connected. He never wore a uniform.
Yeah.
And he had a probably the truth. But, you know, I couldn't watch a news report. And he's like, Michael, that's not what's happening. Now, what's really going on here? You know, so I always had this warped sense, or there's other things there. The placebo effect in medicine, you know, all medicine, there's trials where they tell a guy with cancer, this is going to help you. It's a sugar pill.
Yep.
And there's always a small percentage of them that get cured because they think it. And the pharmaceutical company just kind of swoops that away and says, yeah, this drug works. 70% of the people. Yeah, but another 10% took a sugar pill and got, come on.
Yeah.
That, you know, that ought to be the news, you know. So they just sweep that, and that's what people do. They want to, what the science book says and what makes me feel comfortable, that's what the woods is. And that's what I'm going to do everything in my brain to make sure I convince myself that's what it is. But when something smacks you in the face like a Sasquatch,
you got to wake up.
I'm not going to lie to myself. I'm not going to be delusional about it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I feel really blessed to live here and have this and to have these experiences personally. Yeah, man. Well, it's neat. I've watched some of your stuff and seen what you.
That.
Yeah, no, it's cool what you're doing,
Thank
man.
you.
It's
Thank
good
you very much.
because it helps, and I think people know now. Like, we still go in the ocean because we're pretty confident about what happens with sharks. They'll be. You know, we go where bears are, and we try not to kill them because we're pretty confident.
Yeah.
There's snakes around here. I don't kill them here. Rattlesnakes, cottonmouths, this is their place. I'm in it.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm aware. So, and I think that's what we need with Bigfoot at some point. We need to get to that. Don't mess their hunting up at night. Don't follow. You know, I let them follow me. I've got the place I go. I wear the same clothes, same backpack. I stop at the same places. I don't do a lot of calling and signaling, and it's more like signaling. I'll knock maybe at the same tree at the same spot, just to kind of let them know it's me. If I get some interaction, I don't go after them. The few times I do, we wait a while. You know, I let them follow me. You know, I never want them to feel like, because I know, I mean, they're imposing. It's like the nice grizzly bear, and you hope it's nice, and you see these people with these trained bears, and you hope it's nice, but you know it.
It's 8 feet of lock, stock, and barrel.
Any second. And what really helped me more, and I think it was my dad, coincidentally, he's like, son, if those things, they've been there the whole time. Every second we've been in the woods, everywhere we've been. If they wanted you, and they're truly as fast as you said they are, they would have had you.
They got you.
You wouldn't be doing YouTube. You wouldn't be doing podcasts. you would be gone.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I've been there the whole time.
Because
So-
they allow you.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly, because people don't understand. I don't know, and I'm just rambling here, guys. I don't know where I'm at. Now, I'm a spiritual person. I'm a Christian. I think there's a lot more to the Bible when you get in it and have that relationship and try to understand it that way than relying on what a preacher tells you. And I could go off on a whole nother, thing with that.
Tangent.
But, what I tell people is there's so much more to life. And when you experience that, you've just got to be open. And it happened to me so quick. I wanted to think that they're a primate, and I still do. What I've seen is primate is a physical thing. But there have been some times, and again, I'm so fortunate I've got witnesses and people that are with me, where I have heard them jump, or heard them run, or heard something. I'll say I didn't see them in those instances, so something large. Turkey run on 2 feet. Turkey you can mistake for walking a lot if you've been out and messed with turkey. But it was a 10,000-pound turkey. I mean, it was heavy, heavy steps. And you walk around and you think, I'm going to see it. And I even told my wife one time, we hiked these hills. They go with me. They're great. So I had my little girl. She's 4 now, but at 2, I had about a 20-pound pack, and I put her at 20 pounds on. Hike up these hills. When we got to the top of the hill, I'm like, okay, you're going to walk. She was tired, so as I'm setting her down, she starts screaming. And there's not one. You've got little saddles if you go out. There's little tops of ridges and saddles that connect ridges. And if you understand terrain, it's always coincidentally these things happen at the perfect terrain feature for something to hide and get away from you quickly. But we hear this jump, like running. And I tell my wife, all right, there's 100 yards of clear woods here. We're going to see it. We step over there, it's gone. It's gone. And they're fast, but when I've seen them running, they're not that fast.
Yeah.
It disappeared. And my friend Michael, that was out the day we actually cast that big track, he got so fascinated. He's finding tracks, and so he sits down to look at one. And I step a little forward. It's a little knoll that steps out again where you've got some open stuff. I step out, and there was something right there on the side, and it takes off, and he looks at me, and I'm like, come on, we're going to see it. It's gone. It's gone. I mean, so I still, I tell people I'm 50-50, but I'm probably 60-40 now. They may be able to do some other stuff, and I don't know if it's just excellent camouflage, that kind of speed. I know things can talk in frequencies we can't hear. I personally, I don't want to get weird and like a hippie, but this frequency stuff really fascinates me as I've gotten into this stuff. A lot of the infrasound is cool, but it's just how much of life is frequency. I've seen this clips of opera singers being able to vibrate and they bust glass. And that happens. That's real. So I don't know if it's just they're able to change their frequency so our eyes can't see it. I don't know. I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's weird? I frustrate a lot of people because in my old age, I've got my lane. I would love to go to Alaska. I would love to see a bear at a distance, but I don't want to interact with them. Same thing with sharks. The ocean's neat. I love fishing in the ocean. I'm not getting in it.
Yeah.
Don't want it.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
I don't go. My wife's family, her dad has a place in Florida, little gated community, really nice. I used to go down there and fish in all these little ponds full of big bass. We had a mild, it's usually in November around Thanksgiving. I'm from me to you, and I'm fishing this way, and then there's a pile of reeds, and all of a sudden I hear something, and a 6-foot alligator comes running. Luckily, I just spooked it, and it ran on by me, but at that moment, I'm like, I could have taken 3 more steps, and that thing was behind me. I don't really want to, so I'm like that with Bigfoot. It's really interesting, really exciting, and I do want to know how I can interact with them safely and respect them. But I don't want to. A lot of times people are like, why don't you put a camera on? Why don't you take this evidence? Why don't you do this? Why don't you get a night vision? I don't want to. I don't have that for whatever reason. I don't have that. Why didn't you cast that print?
Right.
You know, I don't know. I know it's there now.